And here we are. Third five-star of this 2023 recruiting class. Justin Edwards has committed to the Wildcats, decided to choose Kentucky over the Tennessee Volunteers. Five-star small forward out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Going to talk about him today. Also going to be talking a little bit of Kentucky football. It's almost that time of the year. I love college football with a passion. I'm really looking forward to giving y'all some phenomenal football content as we get closer to the season and throughout the 2022 college football season. But to start here, Justin Edwards, again, like I mentioned, 6'8", 180 pounds. He wanted to announce his commitment following Peach Jam early on in his recruitment. From what I can tell, it looked like he was a strong Tennessee lean. The Wildcats stayed with him. They stuck with him through the process and slowly kind of worked him back to the Wildcats. Averaged 15.3 points per game during his time at Peach Jam. The thing that I want to talk about here before we get into the positives, I want to speak on the potential negatives because I've looked at some scouting reports on this kid. The scouting report on this kid is that he is, in essence, an overall type of player. You go and watch his play, you go watch what he did at Peach Jam, though, and a lot of people will note that whenever he is forced to offensively produce at a significant volume, he's not the most efficient shooter. He shot 43% from the field during his time at Peach Jam, 7 rebounds, 3 steals a game to go along with those numbers. So that's kind of what I wanted to address here quickly at the top. Is there are some people out there that point out, whenever you force him to shoot the basketball a ton, he's not the most efficient scorer. I don't think Kentucky's going to ask him to be a volume type of guy, and there were a lot of different possessions where at Peach Jam where he was kind of forced to do things that I don't necessarily think he's going to be asked to do. But the positive that I want to focus on here, he is an all-around type of guy. A lot of scouting reports will tell you that. You go and watch his film. It's something interesting about his film, unlike other highlight tapes out there that you see where you'll see kids just do like the same one or two things over and over and over again. If you look at the highlight tape of a center, it's going to be him dunking and blocking shots. It's essentially going to be that. You look at a point guard, it's going to be him, or a shooting guard, it's going to be him shooting a lot of different threes, running in transition. That's probably what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of offense in transition and him shooting threes. It's the things that they're good at that they're trying to highlight. You look at this kid's tape, though, and it's interesting because you see every single thing that the scouting reports say about him. You see his ability to facilitate. You see his ability to score at all 3 levels. You see his defensive ability, which we're going to get to in a second. He is truly, according to his tape, his highlight reel, an all-around type of guy. He can do a little bit of everything. But defensively here, I think it's where he truly does shine. He's very, very sound defensively. He's not the most intimidating player physically. Let's get that straight. 6'8", 180 pounds. But I think defense is overall the stronger element of his game, and that's just in my opinion. Athletically, again, not somebody that's going to impose his will on you consistently, offensively or defensively, but I really, really like his length on the defensive end. His anticipation is something that a lot of people have talked about. I think he's going to be racking up steals with the Wildcats this time next season, and you look at his numbers at Peach Jam, 3 steals per game is something you got to be really, really excited about. Zach Gagan, with On3, noted something interesting about Edwards in this recruiting class, and we're going to touch on this a little bit more in just a second. This is a direct quote from Zach Gagan. With Edwards now in the fold and the five-star freshman wing Chris Livingston earning praise during the offseason, Calipari is loading up on the archetype player the NBA is craving. 2-way wings who can play 3 or even 4 positions. And I wanted to stop here, and I wanted to point out something. Kentucky, it looks like, is trying to modernize and evolutionize the way that they do things from an X's and O's standpoint. We've talked about that a little bit this offseason. It looks like they're trying to become a little bit more, I think there's a little bit more spacing, an emphasis on spacing, if you will, on the Kentucky offense. It looks like that, at least from what we've seen and what we've heard. You get a kid like this who is really, really strong in essentially Kentucky's type of system. I think he's going to thrive. I'm really excited to see what Justin Edwards does in this system. Again, 2-way wings who can play 3 or even 4 positions. He's not got again, we talk about his size physically. He's not physically imposing. You could play him at the 2, potentially if you needed to. If you had to rotate him onto somebody defensively, you could certainly do that. And then offensively, I think, you work on his shooting a little bit, and he's somebody that you could potentially put at the 2 as well. You could put him at the 4 if you need to. He's 6'7". You want to play a little small ball. I definitely think you could find yourself in a rotation, maybe not with Cal at the helm, but certainly if he makes it to the league, I think you could certainly see him in a rotation where he is playing that small 4. But yeah, I'm really excited about this kid. I think that he's going to be essentially kind of plug and play, and once he potentially makes it to the league, I think he would definitely thrive there. You talk about the the outlook, the long-term thought process here. Obviously feels like a one-and-done type of guy, but rounding his outside shot out and solidifying his offensive game outside of what he can do in transition, which you go and look at his film, he's really, really solid in transition. He's a good scorer overall, but I think his transition game's where he truly shines. If he can round out his outside shot, again, solidify his offensive game, and that's something I think that Kentucky can help him with. Developmentally, I think that they can definitely get him to where he needs to be, and he'll slot in at the 3, I think, comfortably after Livingston departs. I know that you look at this kid and you look at this prospect and you think, okay, well, what's he going to do potentially for the Wildcats? I think as we see him gain more experience in practice this time next year, and I think we're going to watch him go through the non-conference slate, and I think we're going to see him work on those 2 specific things, his outside shot and solidifying his overall offensive game. I think you're going to see him grow as a player. He looks like the type of guy that it would be capable of stepping into a situation at Kentucky where he could just take off. A lot of people have pointed out this kid's maturity and his ability to learn. I'm really excited about this prospect. There's a reason that this kid, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite, is the number 3 overall player in the country. Again, number 1 small forward in the country, number 1 player out of the state of Pennsylvania, number 3 overall player in the 24/7 Sports Composite. And he's actually the number 2 overall player in just the raw 24/7 Sports ranking, has a raw 99 flat rating. Really excited about this kid, the super class that Kentucky could be putting together. They've already got, like I mentioned, Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepherd, Justin Edwards, DJ Wagner may be on the way. Aaron Bradshaw could potentially still be in the mix. Ron Holland could potentially still be in the mix. This is a class right now that has number 1 overall potential. I'm really, really excited about what Cal's doing on the recruiting trail, and you have to think that he's going to be able to kind of fill in the gaps on the bench this time next year with transfer portal players. And we've talked a lot on this show about what you need to do to build your roster in a way that could get you through the NCAA tournament. And we've talked about how tough that is to get through the NCAA tournament. I have kind of come to the conclusion, I think a lot of different people have come to the conclusion, that it's not necessarily objectively you have to get 5-star one-and-done kids or you have to get transfer portal players with a ton of experience. You have to find some type of balance there, right? I think I like the 5-star over the transfer portal player. That's just me personally. We've talked about that before on the show. If you feel the need for me to rehash that, I can definitely do that in later episodes. But I like having this 5-star talent on the front. And I really, really like potentially having some transfer portal experience or some more experienced players on the roster, period, kind of backing these guys up, backing up the Rob Dillinghams and the Justin Edwards of the class, right? I think the rotation that Cal is setting up for the future is sound. It's really, really exciting. I love the direction of Kentucky's basketball program right now. Really, really excited about it.